I wish we had changed date because at the end I might have missed a little bit.
Oh, really?
But I was thinking of you.
This is the cookie count winners. We've got Eric Boom Boom in the lead with 10, tied with Ashcraft.
Ashcraft.
Okay, this has got to record also, David. This looks very nice.
Roger, stand up.
Okay, this is Delta Dive 6293, 20 August 2004. Bob and David were off Point Sore, approximately 6 miles due west. Our depth is, what's our depth?
122.
122 meters.
That was 320. Ready when you are, Bob. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to run transect?
Here we go.
Okay, we're going to go.
There's
We're starting transect. We just passed a sea bass stomus that looked very much like a rosy. It'll be on the lasers. A little deep, it could be. It's a little sea bass stomus. We're on flat, boulder, cobble bottom with silt. A lot of brachiopods. Brachiopods attached to the rock. There's a conefish, short spine conefish. There's a fish I can't make out. There's a sea bass stomus, most likely Helvo maculatus. Now we're on relatively fine silt with some craters. There's an elongatus in the distance. Nice visibility, I don't know, maybe 25 feet. Little sea bass stomus under a ledge. There's a sea bass stomus. It appears to be, it looked a lot like Hensifer, but it's hard to tell. I see Wilsoni on the bottom, another sea bass stomus. A little, what could be, well, Hopkins, I say. Another little sea bass stomus. By small, I mean these are not much over 100 to 125. Another little sea bass stomus. There's a ling of 40 on the silt between the boulders. Flat boulder bottom. Little Wilsoni. Some crinoids. There's an elongatus of 30, just less than 30. These white vase sponges, crinoids, lots of brachiopods, boulders, fractured rock. It's a little conefish, short spine conefish, inside the lasers, on a rock. Okay, some small, probably young of the year rockfish, 3. This sea bass stomus just above the lasers. Little higher profile rock. These half a dozen fish all appear to be Wilsoni. Now we're back on silt. Fine silt. Okay, there's a look like a conefish on the silt. Okay, just some small rockfish. I can't quite make them out. That looked like little Icelandus tenuous on the silt that we just went over. Boulder, Sebastes just off the bottom. There's elongatus of 35. Back into boulders. Seabastomus, elongatus inside, and a little, I don't know what to say there, little Sebastes. Look like another Icelandus tenuous on the silt. Now we're into some fractured rock and boulders. Two little Seabastomus under that ledge. Another Seabastomus elongatus in the distance. And some fractured rock. Seabastomus under that ledge. A little, appears to be Hopkins eye up just off the bottom. Another ling of about 50. That appeared to be a story that swam under that ledge. Then Wilson eye. Seabastomus off. Just fractured ledging here. 1, 2, 3, 4 Wilson eye. A couple more. 3 of those 4 appeared to be pregnant females. More Wilson eye just off the bottom. A little fish on the silt. Could have been a goby. Could have been Icelandus. Couldn't quite make it out. Okay, rockfish just above the silt. Small rockfish.
Roger, depth is 116, 116.
Yeah, a little sea bass. Oh, there's a nice vermilion just below us. Going to pick that up with the handheld. That's about 50. There's a green spotted below us at about 30 plus. Okay, little pygmies below us and Seabastomus, these small 125 millimeter Seabastomus, another Seabastomus, another Seabastomus. Wilson eye. Okay, we're over fine silt. There's a 30 centimeter elongatus. Elongatus just beyond the lasers of the same size. It's like a San Miguel beer bottle. An elongatus of 30. Okay, some very small rockfish just swimming over the silt. Faded Seabastomus of 1, 2, 3, 3 more. This is ledging. I see Wilson eye, more Wilson eye in these small Seabastomus, 1, 2, 3, just near and under these ledges. There's a nice fish that appeared to be a rosy of 20, just outside that ledge. Appeared to be pretty bright. Okay, mostly, well, a mixture of pygmies and Seabastomus. Lots of pygmies here. There's again, what appeared to be a rosy off in the distance, and that's a Seabastomus. Fine siltstone ledging. And just fractured pieces. Okay, that was a Coryphoporus or Rhinogobiops for sure that went down in a hole. There's a nice vermilion just outside the lasers, probably off transect, but that's a 40 centimeter fish. Okay, Hopkins eye, Wilson eye, Hydrolagus just sitting on the bottom. Another vermilion of probably 50. Okay, Seabastomus and wilsoni. There's a nice Helvomaculatus just sitting under that ledge. More Seabastomus. Okay, there's a Flavitus that just came out of that crevice of probably 50, and wilsoni on the bottom. Very, very flat, kind of on a downslope here. Fine silt. There's an agonid just above the lasers. That's Xenoretmus. And crinoids. Combfish above us, above the lasers. Very fine silt with some pock marks. And now we're back into fractured rock. Rock's covered by these brachiopods. It's a little Seabastomus. And a big Seabastomus just above the lasers, wilsoni. There's a nice green spotted that'll get picked up by the handheld. Okay, we're back on silt. Those combfish, short spine combfish, back into this fractured field of fractured rock, relatively flat. Nice face sponges, rock.
Roger that. Depth is.
Okay, there's a little Seabastomus below us.
And boulders.
End of transect, right?
And wilsoni. That ends transect, right, David?
Yep.
End of transect. Ending with the number of wilsoni on this fractured rock.
We have some long line here. Roger that, heading 040. Roger that. Depth is 119, 119. We're in boulder habitat. Starting transect B.
Oh, there's a nice wolf eel. Come on, get on that. Get on that. You got him? You see that wolf? You can't see it, David. There's a wolf eel hit.
Transect 2 now.
Okay, transect 2. Sebasti's wilsoni under the ledges. Another wilsoni just off the silt. Seabastomus. That's very likely Helvomaculatus.
Starting transect 2 now.
Okay, we're starting now. Okay, there's little Helvomaculatus, little wilsoni. There's two more Seabastomus, wilsoni. Boulder field, the slight uphill slope, white sponges, more wilsoni. Most of these wilsoni, a lot of these wilsoni appear to be gravid females. The larger fish. Some Seabastomus under the rocks, wilsoni. That may be Hopkins, a couple of Hopkins eye, Seabastomus. These gravid females appear to be about, there's a story under that ledge. And I don't know if these little brown ones are banks or not. That fish appeared to be a bank, a small bank. Okay. Wilsoni. Mostly wilsoni with Seabastomus going in the cracks. These gravid females are about 125. Okay, there's a little Seabastomus and a hydrolagus just above the lasers. Another hydrolagus. There was a lingcod under that ledge. It would have been probably all I could see was the head, but probably a 60 millimeter fish based on head length. Seabastomus down in that crevice. Now we're over fine silt bottom. Relatively flat. Back in some boulders. Some crinoids again. Brachiopods. There's a nice green spotted rockfish, Chloristictus of 30. Back on fine silt. Little elongatus of maybe 75 right on the silt. It's fine silt. Appear to be going slightly upslope. An agonid of just less than 20 off in the distance, and an elongatus of just less than 20 above the lasers. Elongatus of 20 inside the lasers. Craters over this relatively flat bottom. A few stars. There's another agonid of 20. And another agonid of 20. relatively flat silt bottom. Okay, there's a little isolinus tenuis of maybe 100. There's another one. I can see this, the 4 dorsal, and there's another one, and there's another one. Those first few rays elongate and pointed straight upward. Those Plumo sea pins are really sort of beautiful. Small stars, small orange stars. Sediment would seem to be good sediment in which to find Chilera, but we have not found cusk eels in the last several days on any of this sediment type. Here there's an elongatus of 30 right down in one of those craters. Smaller elongatus and a nice Chloristictus below me. Chloristictus was 30. Okay, now we're back on some rock. Looked to be an iguana just above the lasers. Basket star wilsoni, more wilsoni, just off the bottom. These small sea bass stomas darting into these ledges and undercut areas. There's a 25 centimeter elongatus. More sea bass stomas. Very low profile, fractured ledging. Okay, mostly wilsoni with some, and that elongatus of 25 just over the silt. Wilsoni, wilsoni, lots of wilsoni. Okay, a sea bass stomas looking at us in elongatus of 30. Fine silt. Elongatus over the silt. And a green spotted rockfish of 30. Elongatus of 30. And wilsoni. Brachiopods covering the rocks. Wilsoni. Very few, if any, Hopkinsi with the wilsoni. There's a little sea bass stomas. Okay, a couple of sea bass stomas that look to be constellatus. Okay, wilsoni. There's a Boccaccio that just went under a ledge. Several yellowtail, and you see a pinager and a vermilion. Vermilion in front of the pinager. They're basically off the transect. Okay, here, there's Boccaccio, a nice ovalis, flavitus. A couple big fish. Here's flavitus. Wilsoni on the bottom. Okay, there's another ovalis. I hope I said ovalis back there. Elongatus on the bottom. Okay, there's Another poacher. It appeared to be another Agonopsis. I didn't get a real good look, but it wasn't Xenoretmus. Okay, this is sand silt. There's an agonid Xenoretmus. Bottom. Nice white nudibranch. Little tiny rockfish.
Transect D, depth is
That ends
115.
transect.
We're on the silt bottom.
That ends our transect. Okay, there were two ovalis back there. I hope I got both of those. They'll show on the video and should be semi-obvious. Flavitus and then the Pinnager and the Vermilion.
Well, they made it come.
There's another ovalis we should pick up in yellowtail. Oh, nice vermilion down below. Or the yellow eye, David.
I've seen two.
Good for you. You're ahead of me.
Do you see it on the left?
I
You're too busy looking out the wrong side.
well, might be.
I think I saw one cow pond way out in the distance, but I couldn't be sure.
Roger that. Depth is 117, 117. We're on the silt bottom. Starting transect 3 now.
Okay, starting transect 3 on silt bottom. Depth is 117 meters. Fine silt bottom. Elongatus way above our transect. There's a little ice linus tenuous of less than 100. Oh, that appear to be a skate, or I can't tell, or flatfish off in the distance. There's another ice linus tenuous of about 100. Okay, here's one right here next to us of 125. Here's an agonid Xenoretmus of 20 just above the lasers. There's an interesting little agonid. I don't know what that was. Not agonid, coded. There's a tenuous right on that little rock. Brachiopods ledging. Another elongate coded. Lots of brachiopods in this flat, just flat probably silt. Some tiny sea bass stomas, another sea bass stomas. Right on the bottom, they just swim into these cracks. Okay, there appears to be a nice vermilion. No, that's going to be a yellow eye. Isn't that going to be a yellow eye? No, that's a vermilion, huh? Vermilion of, that made that 3 different species in about a 15-second period. That was a vermilion of probably 60 centimeters. There's one of the little washed out sea bass stomas. Now we've got, okay, that could be a rosy, but it's hard to say. Lots of wilsonite, hydrolagus, and a chloristic that's below us, and again, lots of wilsonite. There's another vermilion of about the same size. Lots of wilsonite here. Boulders, fractured rock, lots of crevices. Ooh, there's a nice big ling that went underneath us. He was 60 plus, probably 70 plus. Flat bottom wilsonite. Okay, there's a nice canary. Just, it'll be in the lower camera. You'll see the black spot on the dorsal. And there's a nice, small, beautiful little, oh god damn it, yellow eye. Sea bass stomas under these ledges. Two elongatus right on the silt. Fine, relatively flat silt bottom. See some fishes ahead of us. Hopefully we're coming into some sort of rocky substrate, small sea pen. Okay, that's got to be a vermilion of about 50 centimeters. You see some boulders out in front of us. Some nice fish. Just above the lasers, that's a Rosenblatt Eos chloristictus, little sea bass stomas going under there, wilsonite, big boulders then back into silt. There's a nice Linus tenuous of 100 just below us on the silt. Sort of uplifted sedimentary rock that's again fractured and broken, and there the hydrolagus and a starry and another smaller sea bass stomas. Lots of good sized fish off just beyond good visibility. Nice big, okay, these are wilsonite. Just above the fractures, wilsonite, lots of wilsonite. Just above, oh, there's a really nice flag of 30. And here's a nice canary just paralleling this of 40 plus. Another larger canary. And another larger canary over that. Those are 50 plus fish. Several flabitus. What's that down there, David? That just a big vermilion?
I think so.
Or
Canary
big?
colored
These are,
vermilion.
yeah, well, they're canaries, I think. There's 1, 2, 3 more. There's a vermilion for sure, right there in the lasers. Here's a vermilion just underneath us. Is that a cowcod just off in the haze? Lingcod of 40. There's a vermilion of inside of 40, and flag outside of us. Nice little flag. Flat, broken, shale-like rock. Wilsoni. Okay, there's another canary and sea bass domus. Mainly Wilsoni here, and then there's 2 sea bass domus down in that crevice. Flat silt, combfish on that rock. Okay, now we're back on fine silt. These short sea pens on the silt substrate. There are some longer sea pens off in the distance. Elongate is just below us. Now we're going to pick him up just inside the lasers. That's a 25 centimeter fish. We're back on low line boulder, fractured boulder bottom. Back on silt. Okay, there's a lingcod above us off transect. Fine silt bottom. Very little the way of fishes on this fine silt. Occasional isolinus, occasional agonid, but relatively barren. Okay, there's a sea bass stomus off in the distance. Large, wide dorsal. Doesn't look a lot, but probably is Rosenblatt Ios chloristictus. It doesn't look like chloristictus. Off transect.
Depth is 115, 115. We're coming out of the silt and into the boulder.
We're still on transect, right?
Just finished.
Just finished?
Roger.
Okay. Here's a nice vermilion right next to us. And then off in the distance, big canary. Okay, here's one of these little plain pinkish brown rockfishes with a big eye.
Alrighty. Heading 220.
Swap out tapes.
Oh yeah, okay. I'll do this on both.
Right here, if you want to start unwrapping them, that would be
These can go in either one?
great. Yep.
Come on.
Actually, I don't see a fourth one. I guess I need one.
No, they're just two. They're just two that I
No, I
changed.
have two too.
Okay. Challenge is to get the
I'll tell
plastic
you
on.
what, I'll do them. You can look for fish. That'd be a better swap.
Okay, you got this one? I still have to do this one up here.
So we need to find another blank tape.
You want one?
You got one somewhere?
I'm gonna hand you one. Okay, here's one for you, David.
Yeah, ready?
That's a used one.
Right.
Okay. This one can go in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got a red dot.
Okay.
And that. You want the empty box?
Sure.
We've got one more I need to change up here. Trick is to figure out how to get in these, isn't it?
Actually, is that one for me?
Oh, I did.
I need them.
Okay. Tell them we're in the process of, I'll give you this one.
That depth is still 116, 116. We're in the sediment, but there are rocks around us. We'll start in just a minute.
Okay, this is for you, David. And I need to get one for this one. Oh, that's tapes here. There's some big fish down here, but they're few and far between, aren't they?
Yeah, not too bad.
And I haven't seen I don't think I've seen a cow cod. You might have seen a couple, but
No, I might have seen one out.